Gentlemen, chat, let's get into this story that was posted now 17 minutes ago by Jez Corden of WindowsCentral.com. And it says Xbox Project Keenan gaming handheld, price, compatibility, launch window, and everything we know so far. And it goes on to say this, gentlemen, Microsoft is working on a partner gaming handheld with Asus set to launch later this year. Project Keenan is part of a wider effort at Microsoft to engage OEMs on Xbox-style gaming hardware. And Jez goes on to say, I exclusively revealed Xbox's Project Keenan earlier this week, detailing the first salvo of Microsoft's bold new hardware direction for its gaming platform. But you want more details, right? Well, he has it for us right here. Keenan, as not Keenan, as I previously wrote, Kershaw Warren.
It's Kenan.
It's Kenan. Is an OEM-built PC gaming handheld at its core akin to the Asus ROG Ally or Lenovo Legion Go, and is set to launch later this year, providing nothing goes awry. Microsoft is working closely with OEMs on making Windows more friendly for dedicated PC gaming devices like this. What's interesting is it goes on to say, since I've been getting tons of questions about Kenan, I've put together this facts to answer some of the major questions I've received from all of you and read in the comments here on Windows Central. And this is what he has to say. Let me see if I can pull some of them up. It says, let's see, what does he have here? According to our trusted source, Kenan will blend Asus styling with updated design conventions for a more typical of an Xbox-style device with more prominent grips and a dedicated Xbox Guide-style button. It is unclear whether Kenan will sit alongside any of the prospective the Asus ROG Ally 2 as a separate SKU, but they don't know if that is currently going to happen. In news which may not shock you, it's Asus that have been tipped to build Xbox's Project Kenan device. We can corroborate this report from The Verge's Tom Warren that Project Kenan is indeed from Asus and will essentially feel somewhat familiar to the current ROG Ally and its owners. I'm going first here to Kay Asante because Kay has a lot to say about this. Look, I'm going to say this. I don't know. I have a ROG Ally, right? You know that because you helped me set it up. And it's a great console. It's a great handheld, but it's more PC than I was expecting and want. When I turn on my Switch, Kay, I press a button, I press the A button 3 times, and I'm back at the home screen. No fuss, no muss, no coconuts, right? Well, this is going to be a ROG Ally, but this is also apparently going to run like an Xbox handheld. Now, I don't know how different this is going to be to the rumored 2027 Microsoft handheld, but from what we understand in the story that was originally reported by Jez Corden, not only does this console unmistakably look like an Xbox, but this is just seeding the ground so they can grow their own handheld to release in a couple of years. What do you think about the information that was just provided by Jez?
So, okay, let's handle it in 2 ways. I'll be messy for just a moment, and then we'll get to the business at hand.
Okay.
I'm sorry. We have been having these conversations for years now, literally years. We are on GCP episode almost 200. We've been having these conversations for years, but I won't even go that far back. I'll just go ahead and put in the chat right now an article that I wrote for Xbox Era on July 29th, 2024, where I said, what? There may be some OEMs like old Asus who will be tapped to do what? To create a handheld that will be considered an Xbox. So there you go. Negro dominance, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move on. All right, let's keep it moving. Anyway, this hardware is interesting, but to me, the ball game is not the hardware. To me, the ball game, is, like you say, is the software. And right now, it looks like it's a little bit of a stepping stone to its final form, right? You know, for my DBZs out there, this is not Frieza's final form. You know, it's going to turn into something else. But what you see here may be interesting, right? Like, and when we finally saw it unveiled, and we finally heard the rumors, and people finally, you know, tore the veil off of it. The chat is enjoying my ridiculousness. I'm sorry, I had to do it. Forgive me. When we finally saw that, there were questions asked to what it will look like, right? Because to Jez's point, and you know, I kind of have had some inklings of some of these things for a while now. Duh, it is what it is. I appreciate him for you know, dropping it. What we're not sure of is what the final form will look like. What we do know is this middle ground will have actual PC code, right? So that whole Windows Anywhere initiative looks like it's being leveraged a lot here, right? So your games that are on Xbox are now giving you dual entitlement to the same games on your Windows PC store, right? So at least that's how you're getting most of your library in that way today. Now, what the UI will look like, that's where I am super interested, right? I have said it in DMs, I've said it on Discord chats, I will say it in public. I know this thing is an x86 device, like any other x86 device. Your Steam Deck is an x86 device. All the third-party handheld devices, here's one of mine, x86 device. They're just regular Windows desktop, laptop, regular devices made in form factors to be able to look cool when you're gaming, like comfortable in the gaming context, right? They're all shells, and what matters is the software, right? But if the first time the consumer sees these things, it still has Windows 11 or looks like Windows 11 on it, it will be the biggest facepalm moment. I will lose it.
Okay, I mean that's a fair point, because that's what I'm concerned about, right? Like I want to buy
literally day one when it comes out, when you see it, it needs to have an Xbox UI.
Okay,
and it can be a standard Windows device, right? Play Windows games, but still boot you into a UI that looks nice and shiny and pretty, that BoomStick can boot up, not feel intimidated by, and just scroll around with his controller. Right.
Now, do you think that is what's going to happen?
So I wasn't sure before. Now so before it was 50-50, or you know what? No, I'll be actually, let's be real about it. Before it was 60-40 the wrong way. Now it's 60-40 the positive way.
Okay.
Meaning it's seeming like, yes, that's what's happening here. It may not be what I want, which is that full-fledged UI that incorporates all the versions of the game and you can just kind of play it one-stop shop. It may not be that. It may just be a standard Windows game under the covers, but in the front, it just has a nice UI, a shell that is not desktop. The shell is possibly Xbox UI, right? But that for now is a pretty good solution to get people to that eventual destination. So for me, I think that's really cool. Now, as far as what the hardware will look like, you know, we'll move on from that. I can neither confirm nor deny what the hardware will run. That's easy to see. Look around the community. Look around. The hardware is already out there anyway. It will be a variant of an AMD processor, just like all the other variants are right now. Even this thing in here runs a variant of that AMD hardware, right? So they're all kind of walking lockstep in the same direction. Right. So while it's cool and the hardware will be cool, and I expect great optimizations, hopefully the battery will be a monster and good, just like Asus put their foot down the last time. It'll be good too. For me, the exciting part of it, and that may also answer BT Mavericks in the chat. I saw you have a super chat in there. I may answer that question for you right now. For me, the exciting part about it is the software. And yes, I do think that when that software is available on those devices, you may be able to find yourself being able to download it and install it on your own devices, like this device here, or your ROG Ally X or the OG Ally, and make use of that software. And as more and more people jump in, more and more data is provided to them, and they're able to, make that UI better and better and better. That's the hope of it. So hopefully sooner rather than later, I'm expecting to see them say, hey guys, you want to be part of the beta program, sign this thing and install it and, start testing it out. Right. So I'm looking forward to seeing what it looks like. I honestly think it will be cool. I mean, will it be for me specifically? Probably not. It'll probably be middle of the road, and I want something a bit more high end. Okay. But this is them walking the walk, and I hope it's great. I hope it's great.
I have a thought, because if you guys remember, Jason Ronald was interviewed earlier this year, where he had confirmed that this quote unquote unified UI was coming this year. Like he literally told us that what they've been working on to make the one UI to rule them all is coming this year. Now, he didn't specifically say when, he didn't specifically say on what. Now, we all originally thought that it was going to be a downloadable beta for this thing, where if a person like me who's had the first ROG Ally, not the X, but the first one, I would be able to download this if I signed up for the beta. But if I'm kind of, and again, this is not being a fanboy, this is more like wishing upon a star. This is a new piece of tech that they are dual releasing. It is a combined joint between Asus and Xbox. If I was a gambling kind of a dude, and I'm really not, I like my money in my pocket, which is why I don't gamble. I would imagine that this, just based on some things that were said by Jason Ronald earlier this year, some of the stuff we've heard in the background regarding this uniformed UI, and now this new device that is going to be potentially unveiled at GDC, does it make sense, Hargeet Chani, that they would have this device ready? It is unmistakably an Xbox, thanks to Jez Corden's original story. And this UI is going to potentially be what powers up this thing. It's going to be the standout on what makes people like me, who already own a ROG Ally, oh, this is what I've been waiting for. I press a button and an Xbox screen comes up. I go to a dash. I play a game. I'm good. What are your thoughts on that, man? Because it makes a lot of sense to me, but, I'm also a fanboy.
Well, so KSAT is kind of giving you most of what's there. Here's the thing that happens, though, right? Like, so when you boot up your Xbox, there's a very minimal BIOS, right? It takes it like a couple of seconds, and it brings up the Xbox logo, and you're up into your interface, right? If you want to do that, you're going to have to skimp on a lot of things, right? So they're going to make a purpose-built device and say this is going to boot up much like a Series X. Within like 5 seconds, you're at your dash, right? Something in that range. You can't necessarily do that very easily on a PC because it's got to be universally good for everything, right? But they could work with it, right? So even the Asus ROG Ally, it doesn't take too long in the BIOS. Comes up pretty fast, but it boots up into Windows, normal. You get the desktop. This is going to be tailored, right? So it's going to boot up. It's going to have like kind of the kind of default Xbox-y UI come up as the first thing. That would be the way to do it, right? So you wouldn't ever see a Windows desktop. Now, you might be able to go back to a desktop. That's a possibility. But they may just gimp it to the point where it's like, nope, you just get the controller interface. We will vet the things that are workable from the Steam library, the Epic library, the whatever else library, and make it available to you, right? So that there's no potential where you have to go click on something with the mouse, right? There's no weird crap like that. We'll have to see what they do, right? What the implementation looks like. Could you backport that to something you already own? I think so, right? But it won't be seamless. It's not going to be the same thing as I boot up this device. It looks like my Series X. It just boots up. You get the Xbox logo and you're into the Xbox dashboard, right? Because you're going to have to tailor it yourself. So you could bring up the UI yourself. Now, you could go and do some configuration yourself and say, hey, I want to take away Explorer as my default. Explorer, by the way, is the default Windows shell that you get when you boot up, right? So you can say, I don't want that. I want this new thing. There probably is going to be a way to hack it and make that happen. So eventually I'm sure somebody will have a instruction list here. Do this, and
I suspect that's how it comes by default, though. I suspect that by default, and real quick, all of this that you're describing is not hypothetical. You can do this if you know what you're doing today to Windows 11, right? You can download Tiny 11, right? Which is less than a gig, and then you can replace the Windows shell with, say, Steam shell. And now when you boot it up, it boots in 2 seconds and it boots right into Steam. You can do that. What we're describing here is they would then strip Windows of all the craft, right? And then just make sure the Xbox shell boots by default instead of desktop shell.
So that would be Canon, right? And that's why you want the device, right? The device is just going to do that by default. It's going to come with that custom image. That's the way it is. If you want to backport it, though, to something you already have, maybe you have a desktop, maybe you have a current ROG Ally, fair enough. I think that's where you can. I'm so sure somebody will come up with the instructions. Here's what you got to do, right? Once you update to that version. When will that be available to us? I don't know, right? So don't assume that that's immediate, right? There might be like a next major version of Windows 11. Maybe it's a Windows 12, whatever it is. At some point, that will come, right? And then we should be able to use it. It may be the same time. It may not be. I just want to be clear that might be a little bit of a time gap, right? Because this is a custom OEM device that they're working, right? So, and there might be little issues that they want to iron out before they give it to general mass, right? Like, so it might be something that takes a little bit, but I think you will eventually get it. And then you can then go ahead and say, hey, I want to default it and make it look the same. Here are the instructions to go make that happen, right? So we'll see. The problem with that, though, is the update process. And I don't know how well that's going to get tailored to older devices, right? So in this case, they know the device. This is why it's convenient, right? They know the device. They're going to have the standard update process, very likely the way you do it with your current Series X, where you don't care. It just says there's an update available, right? And it will update it in the background, do all the device drivers and all that junk that you don't care about, but it just gives you a nice little update progress bar, reboots, and you're up to date, right? So you don't worry about what the heck's being updated. It's all done in the background. If you have a ROG Ally, you know what I mean, because it's not like that. You have 20 different updates. There's
tries like 3 different places that it does this.
That you have to go update this yourself. Then Windows updates it this itself, and so it's very different, right? And so that seamlessness will most likely not be available on older devices, okay? Because then they would have to go vet all that. I don't think they're going to do that. That's why you want the partner device. That's why you want the OEM device, because now it will be a part of the standard update process. You won't see it. It doesn't matter. It gets done. For those who have a Surface, you know what I mean. I don't worry about getting this driver, that. It just does it. Windows Update just does it for me. Yeah. It's automatic. I don't care. I just hit update. It does it. It's all done for me. That's what you want, right? And that's where you get the partner device. The other thing that's interesting here is he's mentioning that you won't be able to play your Xbox library. I don't know that they're ready. So that might be, you have to wait for the next gen Xbox to come out. That's when they'll be ready for that. There's going to be more security needed. It's not just based. So there are security measures like hardware chips built into the Xbox that they will need to do. And they can do that with partner devices. Not a big deal, right? But they need to get there. And so once they have that, I think that's when you're going to be able to say, hey, this is really an Xbox, right? When they get to the next gen, this is really an Xbox, which allows them to legally bring forward from backwards compat, right? That's going to be the thing. And there you'll get your life. So this is going to be a little bit of a journey, right? So this device may have that forward capability. It may not, right? But it'll be part of that journey. And then at some point, I think we're looking at 2027 now, right? That's kind of been
rumored to be pretty much, yeah.
2027.
Jez Corden
rumored to be confirmed. Yes.
Yeah, rumored to be confirmed. These are all the bullshits of like rumors, right? We don't know, but this is kind of where we are. 2027.
The known unknowns.
The known unknowns. 2027 is the next gen. That's when you're going to see this like real merger of the two, right? That like I've been predicting the same thing for years. Like it's just the obvious next step is you're going to do this, right? And so this is what has to happen. So it's happening. This is great. I think this is awesome news from a gaming perspective, because now you're not locked to a device from one platform. You can get whatever you want, and now you have competition too. You can get a Steam OS device. You can like build your own. You can like get this Xbox. This is cool. This is where innovation is going to get more and more interesting because now they have to compete with each other. So you're going to have some interesting stuff happen, right? So this is kind of cool. We'll see how this journey goes. I like where they're going. Maybe there's going to be people out there who don't like it. I think it's awesome that it's more open. Open platforms generally tend to have more competitors come into the market and give you more options, more breadth of potential capabilities, right? And so if you have two big OSs not competing, right, a Linux-based Steam OS and a Windows-based, whatever they're going to call this, Canon, this is going to be cool too because they're going to fight back and forth and give us new features. That's going to be awesome. So
Alvin in the chat is saying that although he appreciates the speeds and feeds talk that we've been providing, it doesn't speak to a lot of that plug and play that he's hoping this will be. Now, I know you and I agree that that's not Frieza's final form, like we talked about.
Exactly. You're gonna have to wait till
in the transitional period, right? That UI may do a lot of that work to make it feel more
like a handheld.
UI, exactly, more unified, right? So will it be plug and play like your Xbox? Oh, brace yourself, ladies and gentlemen, that's not going down. It's just not. Come on, it's just not.
But they could get it close, though.
It'll be much closer. That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's in that journey. 2027, though, that's when it's going to be hopefully like fully where it needs to be, because ultimately we all agree what we want is the simplicity of the Xbox console, right? But hey, have that library of Windows, right? Which they own both, and they're just going to unify the platforms a bit, and that's what they're looking to do. So we will get there hopefully. And it should be like the next Xbox, whatever it is, next gen, will bring your catalog. It will be impossibly stupid if they didn't bring your back catalog with you. That would be terrible.
Last thing,
they have to make it happen.
Last thing, though, I will quickly say, like for those who are like, "Oh, the hardware is not exciting." Yes, I love this kind of hardware. It's hardware. It's high end stuff. The chips there will be in this new hardware will be so far better optimized for handheld use because they're finally taking this stuff seriously that you won't need this level of brute forcing to get so much out of it. So maybe you find it at a nice, inviting price point that's not over $1,000, but still has a lot more in the tank, a la the Steam Deck. So you will find it hitting above its weight because they're using a lot of the new AMD technologies, the Strix Point tech. Like there may be some benefits there. So, even if you see the hardware and you're like, oh, it's not exciting, let's hold off and see. It might be better than you think,
Well,
to add to that, Asante, in the article, they're saying very much grain of salt, right? But the potential pricing is $500 and $600.
Yeah, we're gonna break that down
in that realm.
Yeah,
which is very interesting. Again, we have two additional points of contention that I want to read aloud, and we'll go back to first Hargeet, and then we'll back end it with Kay. This is what it says. Now, again, the article is very beefy, and of course, because we love Jez Corden, I will include a link to both of his articles in the show notes when this goes up on video on demand and the videos I'm going to make. So if you want to read it for yourself, you can do so. This is what it says here. For those who were hoping Canon would play Xbox games, I'm sorry to report that this is a tried and true Windows PC in essence, meaning that you cannot bring most of your Xbox library on the device when it launches. But it goes on to say only games that fall under the, quote, Xbox Play Anywhere will work as a single purchased entity across Xbox One, Series XS, and Canon, much like the Asus ROG Ally and the Lenovo Legion Go. Xbox Cloud Gaming will also extend some of the Xbox-only games that you could potentially play on this device, but you'll be limited to whatever is an Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. So basically, if you have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, any game there you'll be able to play. Any game that has the tag Xbox Play Anywhere, you will be able to play. And again, they're going to go more into detail when this is ultimately confirmed. But let's see. Now, the pricing, folks, this is what I want to get into because it has a section here. How much will the Asus Canon device actually cost? And again, like Hargeet literally just said, take this section with a huge grain of salt, because global economic landscape right now is rapidly shifting thanks to what's going on in, well, real life of the world. It says the United States has initiated a trade war, placing tariffs on a variety of commodities that threatens to upend global supply chains, which could severely impact the price of the device, like gaming handhelds and PC parts in general. As such, according to Jez Corden, I don't think the Asus or Microsoft had placed a hard price on Canon just yet, but I do know that the target price range, according to Jez Corden and his source, that it's going to be between $499 and $599. Now, according to the article, there are currently two SKUs. There are two SKUs. There's two versions of this thing, and the more expensive model, according to Jez Corden, may have more powerful chips, or may simply be a larger SSD. He is still digging for more information as the article ends. And again, it's very lengthy. Look, I'm going to say this right now. I already have a ROG Ally, and I'm in day one. And I'm buying the most expensive version. If it's $600, I'm going to buy the $600 one, just because if it's more powerful, definitely. But if it's a larger hard drive, yes, please. But there are two SKUs, and it's between $499 and $599. Now, is that just for one or for both? It doesn't specifically say, Hargeet, but what do you think that this thing could be priced? And more importantly, because no one has really discussed it, when do you think that this device gets released?
Yeah, as far as price, I mean, those are good, like, tentative prices.
Right.
It just depends on, again, what's in there. So 500 and 600, that doesn't seem far off from the current ROG Ally, right? So fair enough. As far as storage, that could be the differentiator. It could also just be the Z2 Extreme or the Z2 Normal, like we have now, or an equivalent set or whatever, right? So we'll see. It's probably in that range. It doesn't seem far off. I guess the question is how much battery life you get versus, but that's going to be very similar to what you have with current boxes, right? So I don't think they're going to radically change what they already have in the market. I think it's just really, it's going to have this custom OS, and it's a partner device. If it needs any security chips or anything like that, they'll probably put that in there. So maybe it has more compatibility with some of the Xbox, peripherals, though it's running Windows. So you can basically just use whatever the heck is out there, right? Because it's Windows. So I think that's a reasonable assumption as to where it's going to be. As far as like the, when is it going to come out? I'm going to guess fall. It could be that, hey, they're ready and it's ready to go because it's really just a device they already have with some minor tweaks, right? It really is kind of like just changing a couple of button placements, and let's just put it out there. How long that takes to actually make happen, it shouldn't be too long. So if they've been partnering on this for a while, it's viable that they're ready to go. But generally speaking, they usually announce stuff, especially software, to entice other partners, and then release a little bit later, right? So even if they're ready to sort of release, they would probably have prototype devices at some sort of show, and then have a release a couple of months later, right? So I wouldn't guess that they would release right at the I'm gonna guess this is gonna get more substantial next week in GDC, right?
Yeah,
because
for sure.
It just seems like the right place to bring this up. Is the developer conference is exactly what you want to do, is entice your partners. And so that I'm gonna guess that there's gonna be some information coming out next week. Maybe they announce the device. That's probably how we're getting these leaks, right? That it's just ready to roll as far as the announcements. And then as far as a release, I would expect at least summer, if not probably fall, somewhere in that range. So I can't imagine them saying, "Hey, we're ready to just drop it now," because I think they're going to want to do a partner, enticement, but then also do a showcase of the device and say, "Hey, we got a prototype," and then usually you're going to have some sort of like media type thing. Maybe you guys like you usually go and see these things, right? They might have like a New York event or a LA event or something like that, where you can go and actually do some media,
Yes, please.
recordings and stuff like
Microsoft,
that, right?
hello?
To say, yeah, like
Please,
they've done it
hello?
before with Asus ROG, right? They've done that before with the ROG, and you just come in and you get to play with it a bit, take some video, right? And then you'll have an embargo date, and you can go ahead and release it. It'd be somewhere, that would be my guess, right? And that'd probably be a month or two out if they're ready, and then it'd probably be a few months after that it comes out, right? So that's why I'm thinking summer at earliest, but realistically more like fall is probably when this comes out. That's my guess. But I mean, maybe they are ready and they just like drop it. There you go. But I think it would be more realistic to think it's fall.
Okay, I mean that's a fair assessment. Now, obviously,
as far as the other thing that you pointed out, right, which was the games.
Yes.
Right. So we will not be able to play and we've already mentioned this, right? That you're not going to be able to play your current Xbox library. I would expect that to happen next gen. So I think you're going to wait till 2027. They're going to work through that emulation thing. They have to basically say it is an Xbox and it is not Windows, right? So it might be Windows at the core. It is, right? It already is Windows at the core, but it has to be more Xbox than Windows. And the reason is that's where their license is, right? So if they can say, you know what, this is really just an Xbox Next, right? And then, even if it's partner devices, Xbox Next, then they can continue to bring the games forward. And I think that's what's going to happen. But they'll say, hey, Xbox Next also includes the ability to use the Steam store and the Epic store. So they're going to kind of bridge that together. But that is a next gen feature that's going to come in 2027. And I think they're going to continue the partner device thing. And I think there'll be more Xbox devices from other partners that will then have the full capabilities. But we're looking at next gen. So look at 2027, 2028. You're going to start getting that kind of feature where you can get your older games. But I don't think that's going to happen for general devices. So as I was saying before, you might be able to go into your current ROG Ally and you'll have an instruction sheet of like how to go make it look like an Xbox. It won't be fully there, but it'll be pretty close. I don't think you'll get your back library back onto a general PC. I think you're going to have to buy a partner device that is going to be specifically tailored to allow it to be an Xbox. So, but that's a few years out. So,
well, I mean, listen, there's a lot to unpack. There's going to be a lot to unveil. Asante, look, the when, the how much, and the where. The three of us are going to be in LA this June, right? Now, again, we keep hearing, no specifics, folks, but we keep hearing, and all you got to do is go to to your favorite content creator. We've all talked about this, that the June showcase is expected to be somehow bigger and better than last June. I'm gonna be honest with you. The three of us were ass in seat, and I can't even picture it. What could they show more than we've already seen? Now I'm wondering. Okay, GDC is next week. It's Monday through Friday, right? We're gonna get a lot of big reveals, a lot of surprises. This is expected, at least in my opinion, is going to be one of those big reveals. It makes perfect sense, right? All of this information is coming out now. GDC is next week. It makes sense, right? We've been talking about this for a couple of weeks now. I think it's going to be there. But what if the big reveal about being able to use a significant part of your library, or all of Call of Duty going into Game Pass, or all of the Activision games somehow being available to not only be played on your Xbox at home? Oh no, this new handheld. Do you think that could possibly happen at the June event for a more specific breakdown of this device? And the price, because you bought a lot of handhelds. You have a lot, and you've spent quite a bit of money. Where do you think, in regards to pricing, this thing falls under?
So I was hoping that their ramp up would culminate in a 2026 release, but all rumor and speculation is now pointing to a 2027 release. So that is my sadness a little bit. And because of that, I now think most likely that hey, come and install it for yourself and try it out on your own device thing, that probably starts at the end of this year, right? But I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they're not doing it, or if they're taking feedback. Please, this would be cool as hell, right? There's a lot of moving and shaking in this handheld space. A lot of moving and shaking, a lot of excitement coming from all the various handheld vendors, right? Even Steam is getting in there, and now Steam is actually offering a damn good viable option alternative to what you guys are already selling, right? So it's now more than ever important to excite the base in this way to keep them hyped for what is to come from you. So I would love exactly that, a breakdown of, hey, we plug in that, and I could do that right now. We plug in that HDMI cable, and we show you what the UI looks like. Hey, this is what it looks like, right? Oh, it's not ready today, but this is our dream. This is what we think it will look like when it culminates, right? A lot of folks, and actually I've been working on that in the background. We'll see how much of that you eventually ends up on video, but I've been working on videos where I wanted to show people like what a lot of people hear the stuff we talk about in this way, and they don't necessarily have an actual visualization of what it actually is. So I wanted to go start doing some videos and showing people, what the game bar looks like and why it's useful and what you can do with it, stuff like that. That game bar could, in this new paradigm that we're describing here, could do a lot of the heavy lifting, right? It could be the front end UI. You boot up, you hit the button and it boots up the game bar, and you can pick your games there. You can change your settings in the background there. You can do all of your RGB stuff. In the MSI Claw, for example, which is a handheld device that MSI made running on Intel hardware, they used that game bar to control their RGBs, to control their power controls, all this, integrating it into Windows. It's not like perfect, because it's still a regular Windows desktop, and then you hit the button and then the game bar shows up. But it's the closest we've ever seen to a vendor taking what Microsoft and Xbox have built and integrating it into their own thing. What we're looking for here is Microsoft's own push to make it console-fied first and desktop OS secondary, right? So I honestly think that's where the excitement is. I honestly think that's where we're going to see a lot of moving and shaking, even in the OHM space. And when I mean OHM, I mean you go download a binary and you install it yourself. Even in that space, I'm expecting to see a lot of exciting stuff. TLDR, that's literally why I'm so excited to go see like some of the June stuff that's coming up and all this. I want to see some hardware. I want to talk to some people about some software. I want to talk to people about some UI. I'm excited for that. I want to go put this in the hands of some people who may have long beards and go, see this thing? It needs to look like an Xbox. That's what I want to do.